truly is difficult to believe it's our last night together. We have had an opportunity to smile together, to cry together, to share a few thoughts with each other on this important subject about our own lives here in the Western world. In addition to our dear brother Muhammad Mehdi, I also want to take a moment to extend my appreciation and thanks. The presence of myself here was made possible through Brother Ali Samak, and I want to extend gratitude to him and Muhammad Jawad for inviting me. The youth committee that consists of, and it's not limited to, Dr. Sayyid Dia Muhammad Hussein Al Samak, for his Sister Zahra Al Muhammad, Sister Rojin Rashidan, Sister Sarah Juma, Brother Hassan, Brother Sayyid Mehdi Diyaluddin, and others. If I don't name you or if I haven't mentioned you, you will get more thawab than if I do mention you. So I think that if anybody is in Ghaiba and whose name was not mentioned, please do forgive me. But I was trying to be as inclusive as possible. So anybody was missed, please do forgive me. I will apologizing in advance. I want to thank my host family, Brother Dr. Wahid Fahim and his family. Umaid, I don't see him here, but I'm sure you'll convey my thanks and appreciation to him. They gave me their whole level downstairs, and I had the freedom and independence. To him, to Umaid, to Sadaf, to Maryam and Khanum, I extend sincere appreciation. Sayyid Saleh, who has always been offering a helping hand, guiding me, making sure that inshallah whatever I was able to convey would be having the maximum impact. All of the Samak family, Fatima, Wael, and all of them have been of great help to me personally. I also want to make sure that those who are outside don't get forgotten either. I mean, whenever I went out during the Latmiya or just to take a bit of breath of fresh air, they were always there. My sisters were there with the soup and the tasty refreshments, for which Allah Ta'ala and the Ahlul Bayt will give you a great ajr for. Khanum Haidar, Muhammad Mahmoud, Sayyida Shirin, Muhammad Al-Lami, and all the other sisters and the brothers, Fawad, Gauhari, the Gauhari family, Razab, Ahmad Shah, Dr. Zia Fahim, Sister Hasina Khanum Fahim, all of them who have taken great pains in making sure that everything was done in a proper way outside. May Allah give all of you a great reward. And of course, I cannot forget those who participated every night, who were coming, even those who were having nice, challenging discussions with me, some argumentative discussions which were always healthy. They're always encouraging, because nobody has a license to be masoom here, and so whatever perhaps may not have been understood or was challengeable was challenged. So inshallah, may Allah bless all of you, the recorders, the transmitters, the ones who are responsible behind the scenes for the technology. To all of you, each and every person sitting here, each and every one of you along with your families, may Allah give great blessings and great barakah to all of you, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Nobody knows if my life or we will meet again, but inshallah, if Allah does allow us, we will meet again someday. If not, then inshallah, I hope I will be in your prayers as all of you are in my prayers. One salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. When I was looking at the topic of challenges that we face, youths face, as you've noticed over these nights, I was trying to see if we can separate challenges that are facing Muslim youths and challenges facing youths in general. You have noticed that many of these challenges that are facing the community outside have also or are also creeping into our community. And sometimes it's with pain that I say that even things that Islam has mentioned as haram, for example, have crept into the community. Things that we perhaps once upon a time would have not imagined as a problem in the Muslim, or especially the Shia community, are actually very realistically a part of that community, a problem in that community. And so the time for us to try and hide, sweep it under the feet, put it in the closet and lock the door, those times are gone. And we have to now address them. We have to take them on head on. We have to see what is happening in the society and of course learn the lessons. The biggest problem that we as youngsters, and you notice I'm putting myself as a youngster, mashallah, and nobody has objected that part yet, alhamdulillah. What we are facing It's better than for me to say you are facing, right? What we are facing together is something that our elders, our grandparents' generation or great-grandparents' generation may want to avoid, and we have to accept the reality, because the only way you can solve a problem is to acknowledge it. The only way you can actually tackle on a problem, whether it's a medical problem, if your head is hurting, if your stomach has been hurting, and eventually you get diagnosed with cancer, na'udhu billah, eventually if you get diagnosed with some other serious issue, the first thing your doctor will tell you is, why did you not come to me when it started? Why did you not come to me when the problems were beginning? And we know, even in our community, we have actually two extremes. There are some people who will go to the doctor even if they get a little fly coming on their hand. They'll go to the doctor, they'll rush to the doctor, they'll rush to the emergency, they'll do this. And you've got other people on the other extreme who, even if they're suffering immensely, they will not go to the doctor, they will not go to their family doctor or the hospital or whatever. Please, my sisters and brothers, both of these are incorrect. Both of these are incorrect, simply because, of course, little things which our body, Allah Ta'ala has given us the ability to have the ability to fight back, to fight against various, through antibiotics or through its natural course of action. We let our bodies take a stand, but at the same time, if something is serious, something is causing more discomfort than normal, we have to also address that as well, so that it can be caught earlier. When I was looking at the statistics, when I was preparing, and I again wanted to apologize for another thing. I know that I've spent a bit of time apologizing because I'm not so tech savvy, and so I would have loved to have put graphs and designs, and I would have taken the statistics and given you pie graphs and bar graphs and all kinds of really interesting stuff, and that would have actually made my life a lot easier, so you could see it as my wonderful young presenters have done over the nights. But unfortunately, with a little laptop and my cell phone, this is the best I can do. So I will share those statistics with you. And when you hear them, sometimes they're a bit ghastly, and that's why I wanted to make sure that I did not make any errors in conveying the message. In the Statistics Canada report of 2016, 19%, now remember, when we were talking about substance abuse, okay? Now, when we are looking at it from the Islamic perspective, the idea or the concept or the meaning of abuse will be very different than when we look at it from Western society. For us, if this is alcohol and I take one sip, that can be construed as Islamic abuse of alcohol. So keep that in mind, but I'm going to separate it for a moment. Statistics Canada in 2016 reported that 19%, almost 20%, 19% of Canadians aged 12 and older were considered to be heavy consumers of alcohol. Not just consumers of alcohol, heavy consumers of alcohol. That means 5.8 million people in Canada, 12 and above, ages 12 and above. Now, the drinking age, I think, in BC is the same as in Ontario. The alcoholic drinking age, 19? Yeah? How do you know? I was waiting for that moment. I'm sorry. Yes, you have to know that information. You have to know the statistics. It's interesting because 18 is the age of freedom and all that. And I remember in another community, I was talking to some youths, and I'm not going to name the community. And one of them, one of the 19-year-olds, he says, I'm 18 years old, and my father still wants me home at midnight. How ludicrous is that? How shameful is that? And I smiled and I looked at him. I said, I'm a grandfather, and my father still wants me home at 8 o'clock. All right, so please don't. If you want to complain, I can share my complaints as well. All right, so 18 is the age I have to do this and I have to do that, and I can do this, and I don't want my father I don't want my mother. No, there's a certain reason why our parents' responsibility and authority was instituted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was a God-given institution. So 5.8 million people would consider themselves as heavy drinkers. The age of drinking is 18 or 19 here, as well as in most of the provinces across Canada, but those who are aged 12 and above. Now, what happens from there? I'm going to go to another statistic to give you an idea. In the year, between the years of 2015 and 2016, there was an organization called the Canadian Centre for Substance Use and Abuse. The Canadian Centre on Substance Use and Abuse, they have narrated this. So there's nothing to do with Islam, nothing to do with the Quran, nothing to do with our Aqidah issue. This institution is saying that alcohol by far is the most common drug used by Canadians. Yani, I'm not calling it a drug. For years on the mimbar, not myself, but numerous other, I'm sure, scholars have come and told you how dangerous alcohol is, what the Islamic fiqh response on alcohol is, and all that. Forget about all of that you might have had in your mind and you have heard. The institution in Canada for substance and abuse is saying it is by far the most commonly used drug in Canada. They're acknowledging it as a drug. It's not just a drink anymore, it's actually a drug. And they're saying in 2015 and 16, 77,000 hospitalizations in Canada were a result of alcohol consumption. Not abuse, consumption. 77,000 hospitalizations were a result of alcohol consumption. In contrast to that, heart attacks or heart disease or heart illnesses accounted for 75,000. In the same period of time, 77,000 because of alcohol. You can see whether it's drunk driving, somebody being hit by a car, a drunk driver, somebody being a drunk driver themselves, being in an accident, whatever the case is, 77,000 is their statistics, 75,000 for heart attacks. So it's actually surpassing heart attacks in hospitalization and in damage that's being done. If you look at in the United Kingdom, in Britain, and while I tried to stick to Canadian statistics, but there was something very interesting that I came across on the table. The NHS, those of you who have been in England or that, you know, the National Health Service, NHS, is the equivalent of Health and Welfare Canada here. They were narrating that the seriousness of alcohol abuse has become so great. The seriousness has become so great that if we spend £1, so $2, if we spend £1 that is spent on alcohol and drug interventions, we can save 5 to 8 pounds in costs associated with alcohol and drugs, including healthcare costs, crime prevention costs, and welfare costs. So they're saying £1 you spend on prevention, which I mentioned just 2 nights ago, prevention is better than cure. Islam has told us the whole foundation of taqwa, the whole foundation of iman and aqidah is to prevent rather than to cure. Cure is also there. Now, keeping in mind that they're saying 5 times the minimum, £5 to 8 pounds, so 5 times the amount that you spend on this, on treatment, on preventing people from getting into that line, can be saved in the community. Because what ends up happening is, when somebody has got abuse of alcohol, when somebody is drinking, and like I said, I'm going to come to the Islamic perspective in just a moment, but not only does it create an imbalance in the society that we're in, it leads to significant increases in domestic violence, abuse in the household. If you remember our discussion on family, knitting the family, keeping a close bond in the family, it affects that. It causes memory loss from a medical point of view. And again, I see doctors in our majma, I see medical people in our congregation. Some of us might be going towards medicine. Some of us might have just basic knowledge of medicine. Memory loss, liver disease, certain types of cancers, gastrointestinal disorders, heart disease, and they concluded the final one was death. So you're actually hastening your death. And when you talk to anybody, they will say, I will do anything I can to extend my life. I'll do anything I can to extend my life. And by having or consuming or misusing or misappropriating alcohol, you are actually causing your death to be hastened. Now, as I said, that there is, of course, a creeping into our community. When you look at the Islamic etiquette, it put a certain degree of importance on prevention altogether. You see, one time people have asked, and I have had youths come and ask me, and questions arise, and of course you've seen this in the youth discussions, not only with myself, but others as well. The question always arises, but Sheikh, if I or somebody, they won't say I, but they say somebody has one drink, it won't affect them. They won't get drunk until they have 7 or 8 drinks, and maybe 1 cigarette won't really cause them to go bonkers. It takes maybe a little more than that and that. My response to that is very simple. I said, when Islam put a complete ban on it. It put a law across the board. It said that when it comes to alcohol, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Holy Prophet of Islam has said that one category of those who are cursed, the cursed ones, one category is the one who drinks the alcohol, even taking a sip of alcohol. And in fact, some of the other ma'asumin, some of the other infallibles, alayhimus salam, peace be upon them all, have said that if you actually intentionally consume alcohol, then don't be surprised if your ibadat for 40 days does not get accepted. That doesn't mean you don't pray. You still have to pray and everything. But the power of your ibadat will not reach the heavens. So the Prophet said the person who drinks alcohol is cursed. The one who serves alcohol is cursed. So even if somebody asks you to pass them a bottle, it is forbidden for you to say yes. It is forbidden for you to give it. Anybody who prepares alcohol, if you're involved in the fermentation, if you're involved in the preparation of alcohol, you are also cursed. The Prophet has not left any stone unturned. If you buy shares in a company that is alcohol based, again, in our economic climate today, I often get asked questions. Oh, can we buy mutual funds? Can we buy this? Can we buy shares? Can we buy stocks? Yes, of course. Shares, stocks, mutual funds, these are halal. Economically, from the rules of economics, these are all allowed. We're not allowed to gamble, that is haram. We're not allowed to take part in interest and usury and all that, that is haram. But business dealings, buying shares and stocks is fully legitimate and halal, provided none of those are in alcohol-related stocks. So even somebody who profits from alcohol, so you're not drinking, you're not serving, you're not preparing, but you buy company shares in a stock of one of these companies that makes beer and they made profit from it, even that is haram. Okay? The other thing the Prophet said, somebody who makes alcohol easily available. Who makes alcohol easily available. That person is also cursed. And often we get asked fiqh questions. Oh, can we go eat at a restaurant that alcohol is served openly? If you look at all of the marajas that I have come across, the masail is very clear. Even to go to a restaurant that serves alcohol openly is not allowed. Is not permissible. To even sit along beside somebody who is drinking alcohol. So let's say they brought their own bottle. They didn't go, they went to a restaurant. Your colleagues at work went to a restaurant, and your next door, your work colleague or somebody next to you started drinking alcohol. It is wajib for you to get up from that table and leave. And it's sometimes, I've had people say, but isn't that so stringent? Isn't that so? No. You see, it may seem stringent to that person who's drinking. It may seem somewhat firm and strict. And some people have used the word extreme and radical and that. But you have to understand that Islam 1400 years ago saw the problems of what alcohol can do in a community, saw what drugs can do in a community, saw what these items, these destructive, deadly items can do to the human being, to the human fabric, to the society, to the families. And as a result of that vision of Islam, it said that we want to make sure all of you understand how absurd, how ludicrous, how horrible this is, that even to sit beside somebody who is drinking alcohol is not allowed. It made it very clear that even to touch it is not permissible. Okay? So that the idea of, how does abuse happen? How does, whether it's drugs, alcohol, any substance abuse. And remember, the whole issue can unfold into anything that we do, that we overdo, can be considered as abuse. Okay, you can, if you're spending 10 hours a day on your video games, on your phone, on those COD games and those PlayStation games and PSP and all that, even that can be considered as abuse. Okay, you are abusing your time, you are abusing your efforts, your abilities, your mind, and all that. So I'm trying to limit it to whatever I wanted to cover in tonight's discussion. So what we're finding is Islam laid down a vision. It may seem a bit extreme at times, just from our perspective or the environment or the community that we live in. But in actuality, there was an entire program that Islam wanted to keep in place so that people understand the horrors of these deadly things. They don't take it light. They don't say that, well, one person can have a drink and they'll be fine. The next person might just smell alcohol and they'll already be there. And people will sometimes think that, well, what if I just try it to see if it is? And that is the beginning stage of where abuse happens. When I mentioned about shaking hands, when I mentioned about the glance or putting the perfume or looking, touching the opposite gender and all that, You see, Islam's whole foundation has been laid to keep one's purity as pure as possible. You see, when you say that I want to try it just to see if it's haram, sometimes people, maybe they're joking, maybe they're true, says, I want to commit this sin just to see if it is really a sin, just to see how horrible it is. And you're probably trying to fool yourself, not Allah, not anybody else, not the Prophet, or you might get away with fooling the Sheikh or the Sayyid, but you're not going to be able to get very far fooling anybody else. Because when Allah Ta'ala put these haramat, these muharramat, the effects of that, both what we've talked about in these last night, on those nights of Muharram, one is the spiritual ill, the spiritual damage and danger that it causes, one is the physical. They're both going hand in hand. So even if you take a drink and physically you don't feel anything different, the spirit has already been affected. The spirit has already been damaged. And then we wonder, why are we having these problems? Why is my dua not getting accepted? Why are all these calamities falling upon me? Why am I not succeeding spiritually? When you make an effort to come to the Husayniyah, when you make an effort, whether it's in Muharram, whether it's on Laylatul Jum'ah, whether it's on a Saturday program, when do you usually have your programs? Friday night. For the Friday programs or whatever. There is a tawfiq. There is a certain invitation that the Ahlul Bayt have given you. Don't think that you're here tonight just because you're here. Oh, it's the last night there. Remember one thing. You're not here out by fluke. You're not here because of your own efforts necessarily. You are here because the Ahlul Bayt alayhimussalam considered you worthy to be here on a Friday night instead of somewhere else. Thousands of people are somewhere else tonight, aren't they? It's a Friday night. The week is over. Party time, right? And what happens? You're spending this night with me. Allahu Akbar, astaghfirullah. And what happened? You see, this is when you're learning a few things. You're being told not to do this, not to do that. And remember, that is a ni'mat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The ni'mat of Allah is in something that I'll speak about in a moment. That when you are remembering your life, people have, youngsters, youths, students have asked, in a given year, we Shias cry a lot more than we laugh, don't we? Let's face the reality. And when I was reading psychology reports on this subject of crying and laughing, it says that you will remember the people you have cried with and the people that you have cried for more than the people you have laughed with. Psychologists have said you will remember people who you have shared a tear with than you have laughed with. If you think back and reflect upon it, whether it's your high school years, your young years, as you've grown, who have you laughed with? You might remember a few people, but who was there with you when you were in difficulties? Who helped you when you were in some misery? Who were you were crying to when you didn't have something done, a project wasn't ready, an assignment wasn't up to par? Who did you cry with? And therefore you take you take that into the Islamic etiquette, and you find out that the only reason, and believe me, the only reason we as a follower of the Jafari community, of the Shias of Ali ibn Abi Talib have survived is because we have had tears, and those tears have caused us to act and take action. One salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. So it's the Ahlul Bayt's invitation that has brought you here tonight. It's not your own actions necessarily. It's not just that happened and that. And so what we're saying is, when you attend, when you go, this is a certain hope opening in your heart. Now, a very beautiful example I can give for my youngsters. When you have two nations, two countries, we've talked about world politics, we've talked about so many things over these nights, and I also mentioned that I'll be summarizing everything as well. And you've got two nations that might be very close, and then some dispute or disagreement occurs. So each country has an embassy of the other country in their country. You have an embassy of this nation in their country, our embassy is in another country. If relations reach a point where there's no real communication happening, and when we're getting angrier at each other, what's the first thing they do? We saw the Al Saud do that to us Canadians just earlier in the summer. They said, okay, because you said that, recall the ambassador, get your embassy out, shut it down, we don't want any more students there, we're going to close this, we're going to close that, relations are broken, now we have no more communication channel. Relation is broken. Up until the time that there was the embassy there was communication, there was dialogue, there was mentioning, there was back and forth, and when you reach a state of hatred where you are now no longer wanting to communicate or talk, you shut the embassy and you close the door. Each of us have got something in our heart that is known as Rasul Batini. Rasul Batin. That means the hidden prophet. Rasulullah, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. That Rasul, the Holy Prophet, Amirul Mu'mineen, the Aimma from the Ahlul Bayt, the Ulama, the Maraja, all of this, these are known as Rasul Zahir. They are in front of us. They are there to guide us. They taught us. They explain things to us. They are outside. They're physically telling us. But each of us inside has also got a Rasul. The Rasul Batin, the Rasul Ghaib, the Rasul that is inside is guiding us as well. When you do something wrong, when you look at something wrong, when you say something wrong, when you cut another driver off wrongly, when you show your anger and your toughness in situations where you want to be a bully, there's a voice inside that tells you, hey brother Ahmad, cool it down a bit. Hey brother Shafiq, just calm down a bit. This isn't right. It's Muharram. If it's not Muharram, why should I cut somebody off? Why should I, show profanities and fingers that shouldn't be shown and all that? Why should I do that? Okay, even if it's not Muharram, if it's not Safar. And so when we're thinking that conscience, some people call it conscious, some say Rasul Batin, some say the inner voice, the conscience, whatever you want to call it. That's entirely up to you. Is still giving you that connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The connection is there. The minute you feel when you are sinning, nothing is bothering you, that means that ambassador has been recalled. The embassy is closed. Serial killers, when you read the biographies of serial killers, they'll tell you, when I committed my first murder, I was very upset. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I couldn't think. I was not in aid. I was in discomfort and all that. The second murder, things were a bit easier. Third murder, no problems. Fourth one I actually enjoyed. Somebody who steals once, they'll be feeling guilty. What did I do? How could I have done that? Poor guy, what's he going to do when he goes to the market? He doesn't have his credit card. He doesn't have his money. The second theft, easier. Third time, even easier. Fourth time, you enjoy it. Let him suffer, let her suffer. I took her purse, I took this, I took that. And so what that means is that ambassador that's inside of us, that representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Rasul Batini that's within us, that Rasul, that guide has been recalled. Because Allah ta'ala says, this person doesn't want to listen, this person doesn't want to deal with me, this person doesn't have any love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that Rasul, that hidden messenger leaves and says the embassy is closed, now you're on your own. You fend for yourself. Now your answerability to Allah is at its full capacity. Because at least, one of the things that Amirul Mu'mineen says in his hadith, in his recollection in Nahj al-Balagha, he says Allah Ta'ala loves it more when somebody commits a sin and genuinely apologizes for it. Feels sorry, does istighfar, promises not to do it again, makes reparations for what sin they have committed, genuinely cries and expresses. The Imam says, if you've eaten, let's say, one bite of haram meat, sweat your body such that melts away. Not just that you say astaghfirullah, 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 and then no. It's not that easy. Imam says that you've eaten haram, you've drunk haram, make sure your body sweats out that haram so that the remnants of that leaves. The remnants of that has gone. So the Imam is making it very clear that when you sin and you make true istighfar, Allah Ta'ala loves that more than if I do a good deed and I feel elated. Oh, I've done something special, I've done something great. And you walk around as if you've done a favor to Allah, na'udhu billah. So when we are talking about any type of abuse, any type of this, we're actually looking at what our responsibility is and say that, look, is this thing worth trying? Is it really worth? Do I really want to experiment with this? Because this is where the paths start becoming different. Those who say yes, and a lot of it sometimes is to do with those who are around you. They pressure you, they're friends or so-called friends. Whether it's Muslim or non-Muslim, they say, well, just try it out. We won't get addicted to it. And that in itself is a warning sign. Let's just try it right away. That should be a warning sign to somebody who is mature. Somebody who is mental abilities are at full capacity. When somebody encourages you to do something that is uncomfortable for you, then question the foundation of that friendship itself. What should a true friend, I'm not going to repeat what I had said the other night. Like I said, this is just a summary. Remember what the terms of friendship are. Remember what the qualities of friendship are. Remember what makes a true friend a true friend. They will not pressure you to do something that, number one, you're uncomfortable about, or they will not pressure you to do something that is wrong in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ultimately, we will go back to Allah ta'ala. When we are in our graves, when we leave this dunya, your friend or my friend, much as we may want them to be there, will not be there with us. It will be us alone. One of the ulama was actually telling me very recently in Qom. He said that when Ayatollah Khomeinis had passed away, many years later his son Sayyid Ahmad saw him in a dream. His son Sayyid Ahmad saw him in a dream. And Sayyid Ahmad actually told one of the Maraja, and he was actually mentioned this in his dars. He said that Sayyid Ahmad asked him, Baba, you have come to me in a dream after so many years. After so many years you've come to me in a dream. What happened all this time? You know, Imam Khomeini, what can you say? He says, what can I tell you about the hisab you have to give on the Day of Judgment? Day of Judgment is later. He said, the hisab that I had to give now, preceding the Day of Judgment. He said, even when I lifted my hand like this, the malaika were asking, why did you lift your hand like this? The accountability. Why did you lift your hand like this? Why did you say like this? And you can see that the hadith of the Holy Prophet of Islam says, Halalul hisab, haramul hukub. Whatever you have done halal, you still have to give an accountability for that. Whatever you've done haram, that is the hukub, that will be a punishment. If I've spent something on haram, I've drank something haram, I've drank something that is illegitimate or illicit, that I'll be punished for. Whatever I've drank halal, I have to give an account for it. Where did you get it? How did you get it? Did you really need that chocolate bar, Brother Shafiq? You could not live without it. You could not do without it. So the hisab has to be given. And this is sometimes what we often forget. That as believers, as the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have an accountability to Allah. Allah created us. He gave us His body for what? He gave us His body, you know, in Surah Yasin it's mentioned, Al-yawma nakhtimu ala afwahihim wa tukallimuna aydihim wa tashhadu arjuluhum bima kanu yakthimun. On that day the mouths will be shut. When you are giving your account, when you're giving your hisab, the mouth will be shut. You will not say anything. Your body will talk to Allah. Your eyes will tell Allah what you saw. Your mouth will speak to Allah what you said. Your hands will tell Allah what you did. Your feet will tell Allah where you went. Because that's what it was created for. Inna as-sam'a wal basara wal fuada kullu laka kana anhu mas'ula. The question will be there. So don't think we can avoid and get away with the questioning. So you want to try something, maybe it's not haram, maybe this, maybe that. Maybe we need to think about whether it's worth our while to actually go into that. If we don't try it, what will happen? If you don't try something haram, what will happen? People have often thought, our Aqidah says that the Masumin, the 14 Masumin, the infallibles, there is some thought in our youngsters that the Masumin cannot commit sins. That's not correct. That is not correct. The Ma'sumin, the infallibles, do not commit sins. There's a big difference between the two. Malaika cannot commit sins. Okay, so understand the difference. If mashallah, a beautiful glass of water Sayyid brought for me, by mistake, as he's coming, somebody put some mud in there. I said, Sheikh Shafiq, sorry about that, but you can still drink it. Now, I see the water. I have the power to drink it or not? I have the power to drink it. Will I drink the water that's full of mud and earth, and whether it's by mistake or not? I'm not saying you do. I'm sure you'll not do that to me. At home you give me lovely drinks, mashallah. And you'll see that yes, I have the power, but I won't because I don't feel like being sick. I don't feel like messing up the majlis for you guys for tonight because it's the last night that I'm here. If I wanted to mess it up, I could have done the first nights and then recovered by the second or third. But you'll say that, yes, I have the power, but I won't do it. Because I've got the vision to see not to do that. My youngsters will understand. The P&E is finished now here, right? Yes. What's the tallest building in Vancouver and Surrey? What, you guys have something nice like we have CN Tower over there? Shangri-La. Oh, mashallah. You didn't take me there. Shangri-La. Can you go up on the top there? How high is it? A few hundred meters maybe, inshallah. Okay. Will one of you, inshallah, take me next time and we can jump together and see what happens when we go on the floor? Sheikh, please. You must really be tired after 12 days, eh? Can't wait to get back to Ontario, is it? No. What? I'll say why. If we jump from Shangri-La, if we jump from CN Tower, or if we jump from, that building or Burj Milad, you're going to die. I said, really? You're going to die? I'm going to die. Have you done it? Brother Zalim's looking at me. Oh, I'm going to take him anywhere. You're going to die, Brother Wild, huh? Why? How do you know that? Have you done it? Have you died and come back and told me, Sheikh Shafiq, if you do it, you're going to die? You'll tell me that there's certain common sense that even if you haven't done it, you know what the result is. Even if you were to not drink it right now, but you know what will happen if you do. Yani the vision is there, the knowledge is there, even though the first-hand experience doesn't need to be there. So intelligence dictates that there are certain things, and this is what we have got from the Ma'asumeen, peace be upon them all, that there are certain things that are so evil and abhorrent that they have warned us, don't do this. We know what the evils are. We know what the evil of drinking is. And so if you don't do it, trust us, because we have gone through that phase of knowing what the evils are. One salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Farajahum. So take it out of your mind that I have to try something to know that if it's evil. I have to try something to know that if it's really a sin. I have to try, because there are certain things that you're not going to do. You look at a new driver. You look at a new driver. We were talking about this in my meeting last night. A new driver, he's all excited. She's all excited. They want to drive a car. They turned 16, 18. What is it here now? Everything is changing. 16, mashallah, to get your. And then you say, okay, you teach them. The parents teach them. And when you go to a gas station, if you want to have maximum, you put this much ethanol, this much that. And the kid doesn't have any money, so what they do, they go to their water bottle, they start about to put water inside the gas tank, and the father will come running, Baba, chikarmi ko nahi, mahada. What you doing? Sir, sorry, I ran out of gas and I need to get to school, I need to get to my friends, they're waiting for me. Yeah, but you can't put water in there. Why not? I don't know what isn't many mechanics in there? I've picked on lawyers, I've picked on architects, now I need some mechanics I can bother before I leave, okay? Something will happen to the engine. You're going to mess up the engine. You're going to blow up this and you're going to do that. You're going to cause damage. How do you know? And you'll tell me some things are just intelligent. They don't need to be spelled out. You just have to know it. This is where I can leave the discussion today. The Ahlul Bayt and Allah Ta'ala have said, okay, this is the Quranic injunction. This is how we have laid it down. We are the creators. We have created insan, Allah Ta'ala says. We know what's best for you. We know what will be your capacity. We know what will be destruction for the community as a whole. Because Islam is not a single person or single entity religion. It's a communal religion. Innal Islam huwa taslim. And the foundation of Islam is to surrender before Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So we do what Allah Ta'ala wants us to do, not what we want to do, not what we want to try. Then you reach great aspects of greatness that are so unique that one of the Maraja, Ayatollah Uzma, Sheikh Bahjat, marhum Allah maqam, in one of his classes, he was narrating just a simple story. He was saying that one young boy comes to his friend. He says, I am so hungry today. And the other friend tells him, go to your mom. Your mother will feed you. He says, I don't have a mother, I'm an orphan. Come to my mother, let's go together, my mother will feed you. Yani a child immediately when hunger is there knows that the mother will solve that problem. The problem of hunger will be solved by my mother. The parent will solve the problem. And so later he goes and he has the meal. Ayatollah Bahjat Marhum is saying that if insan had that much trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the way a child has trust on its mother, the way a child blindly knows that immediately for this problem I can go to my mom, if we as insan had that much trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, believe me, no problem would be seen as a problem. That problem would be seen as an opportunity to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Farajahum. It's an opportunity to get closer to Allah. It's not a problem. It doesn't become a problem. Life has a roller coaster of ups and downs. And believe me, we have got such examples, such beautiful examples, that if I was to start, we could inshallah go till Salatul Layl time. But they told me that be careful, don't make it overdo it tonight. It's my last night, so I can do whatever I want, can't I? Okay. One more salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We've got examples. We've got beautiful examples. When we were talking in these nights about Malik Ashtar, the power of Malik Ashtar, the bravery of Malik Ashtar, the shuja'at of Malik Ashtar. And you've got people like, Kumail, you had Muslim ibn Aqil, you had on the plains of Karbala, Qasim and Hazrat Abbas. And sometimes we wish somebody could have been there for us now, today. And one of the beauties that we have got such examples. We have got such people around us who are not Masumeen, but have been an example. In one of my Jummah khutbahs over there in Ontario, I mentioned, I said, you want to see Malik Ashtar today? Look at General Qasim Soleimani. You want to see Kambar and Kumail? You look at the Sayyid Houthi in Yemen. You want to see the power of those who are the Shuhada of Karbala who are not the Masumeen? Look at Sheikh Nimar in Saudi, in the Hijaz. You want to see the power of bravery? And you see the life of Sayyid Hassan, how taking on an entire superpower with the nuclear weapons, and only the Aqidah is there, you will see that bravery. You want to see Abu Dhar? Look at our Maraja and the ulama. One of the things that I didn't get a chance to mention when we were talking about the 12th Imam, that has protected us as a community, the Azadari of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Another one is the Khums, the financial independence of the Shia. The third is the religious and the political authority under the umbrella of the Marajaiya. And you know why it has protected us and how it has? Because whenever the Maraja have said something or have encouraged the people to take a stand, their own families or they themselves are also at the forefront. Imam Hussein in Karbala did not just send the son of Hur and all of the followers and all the companions and keep his family protected. He sent Ali Akbar and Ali Asghar. He sent Ona Muhammad and Qasim. He made sure that the family was also represented and the Ashab were also represented. He didn't keep them behind. If you look at world political leaders today, the Queen of England has a grandchild in the army. Not in the forefront, way in the back. Flying fighter planes, they have, tanks, but there are other 10 tanks guarding them to make sure nothing happens to them. Past presidents of the United States have had children in the army, but not in the forefront, not in the war front, way behind. When was the last time you heard about any Western leader's child, grandchild, nephew, niece killed in battle? When was the last time? Now you look at our ulama. Ayatollah Khomeinis lost children in the war against Saddam and all. You will see Ayatollah Gulpaygani, his son was also shaheed in the Iran-Iraq war. You will see Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, his son was also killed. Sayyid Khamenei himself is paralyzed because of a bomb blast, an explosion that had happened. His entire right hand, he cannot move his right hand, he shakes hand like this. You will see the ulama, all of them, from the beginning till the end, they have not only told you to send your sons whenever the need has been there for the sake of fi sabilillah, their children are also on the battlefield. Their children are at the forefront. They themselves are also at the forefront. And when somebody leads by example, that is where the power is. That is where the true power of the Ahlul Bayt's followers is. We don't just tell you to do something, we make sure that our amal reflects the action. One salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. So this is a time that is a sensitive and a delicate time for our community. As I mentioned when we were talking about the 12th Imam, the Zuhur is very near. And some of you have mentioned to me, you've already started your recitation of Dua Ahad. May Allah bless you, inshallah. May Allah give you success. If some of you have not started Dua Ahad's recitation, please, do not neglect it. This is our last night together. If we leave it and we just let it wither away, it will be forgotten. Because Shaitan's whole policy is to make us forget, to become Nasyan and to leave everything, whatever was here is here. Now we go into our real lives, our other normal lives. We as followers of Ahlul Bayt, this is our normal life. We will always remember the message of Imam Hussein Abu Abdullah alayhi salam. Just before I come to the closing part of tonight's discussion, my sincere appreciation to all of you has actually led me to give a small gift to the youths of the community for your library. I will ask Muhammad Jawad to please come and accept one copy of our Islamic Humanitarian Service publications, the IHS that we have done. This is a set of our books. I hope all of you will get a chance to go through them. Some very diverse and interesting topics and subjects. It'll be just a small remembrance from me to all of you, inshallah. May Allah give you success in the dunya and the akhirah. May Allah, inshallah, continue to guide the youths, to give us guidance for the youths, inshallah. And as I said, I beg your prayers, inshallah. It is heartening to see all of you working so hard. working for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the things that I commented to one of the other youths just yesterday when it was the before the Sham Ghariba program, that all of you have acted in complete surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not for your name or your recognition, and just your pleasantness, your akhlaq has inshallah given a reward to your parents, and it is showing that inshallah the message of Ahlul Bayt will continue. May Allah bless you all, and for all of you, you recite one salawat loud from yourself and from me as well for all of you. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Ajjal farj. Karbala could not have been Karbala without the youths laying down their lives, without that spirit, without that determination, without that dedication. And you are all the successors of the youths of Karbala. The responsibility on your shoulders is not a light one, but it's a blessed one. And this is something that inshallah when we remember these closing days of Muharram, these 12 days, and we see what had transpired, and we had seen, heard, narrated what transpired on the day of Ashura, the night after Ashura on Sham-e Ghariba. And we see how Imam Hussein's family, friends, companions were all murdered, martyred on the plains of Karbala. The ladies of the Ahlul Bayt, their jihad, their difficulties, their tribulations just started at that time. They were all chained one by one. The young children were put into rooms. The ladies were chained, the children were placed into ropes. You know, you will read the books of Maqtal. Munfarid in his writings, as well as Zakir in his writings, mentions that the ropes were tied amongst the children in such a way that if one child would move, the other child would feel difficulty. If one lady would just take a step walking, two other children would feel the pain of the string ropes pulling them and hurting them and injuring them. Remember, Karbala happened in 61 Hijri. The ropes and the chains were such that 35 years later, when Imam Zainul Abidin left this world, 35 years later, Imam Muhammad Baqir said that when I was giving ghusl to my father, the marks of the chains and the ropes were still there. When Hazrat Zainab left this world, the ropes and marks were also on her. The caravan goes from Karbala to Kufa. They are paraded before the army of Umar Assad. They are paraded before the people of Kufa. Even ordinary ladies and sisters are protected by Ahlul Bayt. As the caravan reached, one of the Maqtal writers mentions that as the caravan reached Kufa, when they're about to enter Bab-e Kufa, somebody says, Assalamu alayki ya bint Rasulillah. Hazrat Zainab is startled. Lady Zainab is startled. We are prisoners. We are in this difficulty. Who is there to say salam to us? Who is there to give salutations? Very discreetly she looks up. What does she see? On Bab-e Kufa, the head of Hazrat Muslim ibn Aqil is there. Muslim is saying salam to his cousins. The head of Muslim is saying salam. Immediately Hazrat Zainab says, my dear brother Muslim, close your eyes, we have no hijab. From Kufa, the caravan goes to Sham. They reach Damascus. It's narrated the journey has been a very difficult journey. Numerous children have actually died on the way from Karbala to Kufa and from Kufa to Sham. Not just Ali Asghar on the plains of Karbala. Maqtal writers have mentioned 40 children. 40 small graves are present from Kufa to Sham. When the caravan reaches and they have been imprisoned an entire year, back and forth, they go to the court of Yazid and back into the prison, court of Yazid and back. Every time Hazrat Sakina Ruqayya is asking her Aunt Zainab, Auntie Zainab, when will we go back home? When will we go back to Medina? I can hear the birds, I can hear the animals, I can hear all of these children from school going back home. Will we ever go? Will we ever go back home, Auntie Zainab? I'm not sure what answer Hazrat Zainab had given. But remember, there was a promise that Mawla Hussain... There was a promise made by Imam Hussain to his beloved daughter, and that promise was about to become fulfilled. One night, Hazrat Sakina wakes up crying. She's crying, and eventually they bring the head of the Imam. She has seen in a dream her father. She has seen in her dream her father coming to her. When the accursed ones heard this, they brought the head of the Imam, not in a way of sympathy, but to torture her even more. When she saw the head of her father, she put the head of her father on her lap. Baba, father, they took my earrings and they beat me. They slapped me so much, Baba. They took our Aunt Zainab's hijab. All of the ladies' hijab was taken. Baba, they have caused us to... She's talking to the head of Imam Hussain. Baba, look what they have done to us. There were so many injuries on Hazrat Sakina Ruqayya. As she is talking, Allahu Akbar, as she is talking to her father, suddenly a moment comes where there is no discussion, there is no talking. Hazrat Zainab looks at Sayyid Sajjad, Zainul Abidin, and they want to make sure everything is okay. Sajjad, is Ruqayya alright? Is Sakina okay? When Imam Zainul Abidin comes to where Hazrat Sakina was talking to her father, he holds her hand, he feels her purse. Auntie Zainab, Inna Lillahi Inna Lillahi wa Inna Ilayhi Rajiun. Ruqayya has gone back to her father, Hussain Baba. Ruqayya has gone back to her father. Sakina's promise was fulfilled. My dear mourners, who can give the ghusl to Sakina Ruqayya? When Imam Zainul Abidin wanted to try and do a kafan, a burial shroud for her, the blood and the cloth had become intertwined. He could not remove the cloth to give her the ghusl mayyat. He buried Sakina. He buried Sakina with her cloth and the blood and all and the injuries. And he says, tell Baba what they have done to you. Tell Rasul Allah what they did to you. Tell your grandmother Fatima Zahra. سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب